What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the episode number 17 of the Innate Domain podcast. Online again because I'm lazy and didn't want to have to edit this one. So Riverside's going to do it for me. But how are you doing today so far, sir?
Pretty good. I went to Dunkin' this morning. They have donut flavored syrup now, so I got a coconut donut iced coffee. It was fucking phenomenal. So I know I'm going to have a good day because of that. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Neela tried the blueberry donut one, and it was like
it's good with vanilla and it's good with coconut.
Yeah, she had the blueberry one, and it was like okay. And you can kind of hit to, like, if you had a blueberry donut before, you definitely are like, okay, it kind of tastes like it, but it's nothing overpowering. Alrighty, moving into this one's very short for May 31st of the Daily Stoic. The title is "We Have But One Obligation." The quote is, "What is your vocation? To be a good person." Marcus Aurelius. The Stoics believe above all else that our job on this earth is to be a good human being. It is our basic duty, yet we are experts at coming up with excuses for avoiding it. To quote Belichick again, do your job.
The whole quote is, what is your vocation? Be a good person?
Yes. Yep.
What's the definition of the word vocation? I know the word, but I can't think of what it means.
I don't know. I'm just going to look it up. A strong feeling of suitability for a particular career or occupation.
So they're saying that your
only job.
Yeah, your only job should be
to be a good person.
Be good. Honestly, I can respect that because I try to be a good person whenever I can any day. Like, I don't think it should be your vocation, your only job, your only priority, but I definitely think you should every day be a good person, nothing but a good person. Don't ever try to be a bad person.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that blows my mind is that people live their lives trying to make other people miserable. And they go out of their way to make others' lives harder, especially with depending on what job they work in, especially food service or retail or whatever. Doing something and realizing that that is going to affect someone purposely because it's going to affect someone is pretty fucked up. And
the biggest example of that I can think of is fucking cheaters in Counter-Strike.
Oh yeah.
I've yelled at so many of them, like, just saying, like, I pretty much tell them that, like, I know that they have, like, a shitty life, which is
on
bad
your
to
team,
say, but no, on the other team in chat.
Okay.
But I mean, it's like, what's the point of cheating in a video game? It's not like you're not gaining anything from that. Do you really think you're better because you installed hacks? And it pisses me off because they're literally just doing it to fucking ruin other people's day.
Yeah, that is a good point because they really are doing that so that they can make the game easier for them so they don't have to put as much effort in so that they can win and ruin somebody else's experience with whatever game that is.
Yeah.
And that's just I'm curious on how people can go about their lives like that because
yeah, like if you're doing that in a video game, imagine how that's reflecting in other aspects of your life.
It's like if how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to go to that point every single day of your life to I'm going to go into this game and I'm going to ruin this person's experience playing this game because I got nothing going on. I don't want to put in the effort. It's sad. It is truly sad. But that's what kind of goes into like accepting how other people make decisions like that, I guess, because realistically you can't do anything about it. And arguing with them is in a way pointless. It's most likely not going to change their mind. You telling them you're a piece of shit, you probably don't have any life, what are you doing, it's not going to make them like
fire.
Yeah, it's not going to make them be like, oh damn, that guy's right, I'm going to stop cheating and I'm going to play normal from now on.
I'm going to reevaluate my life because this random guy on the internet told me I'm a dickhead.
But even hearing people around us, or at least me, complain about their day or having to do a certain thing at work or how someone is doing something customer wise or whatever, just makes them seem like a very miserable person because they have nothing else to complain about except for something that other people aren't doing. And I try to, in my way or in in a way, I've tried to just look at things like that. And when somebody says something like that, it's just like accepting it and being like, okay, going against them and trying to tell them like, hey, dude, or whatever. Maybe not complaining is not the right way to go about it. It's not exactly my job. It's just like, okay, I'm just going to accept that that person is who they are and control what I can control, and realize that trying to argue with them is probably not going to get me anywhere. And I'm better off just kind of leaving them alone.
Yeah. I mean, because those type of people are set in their ways and there's no changing them unless they want to be changed. And most
Yeah.
of them don't. Like, they're already too far gone.
And I feel like I've been, let's say there's somebody upset or is mean to me at work, whatever, as a customer, I try to really seek to understand why they're feeling that way, like what they could possibly be going through, so that I don't put as much burden on myself to try and think about what I could have done to do, make their day a little bit better, or why they treated me the way that they treated me. Because one, if I'm thinking about that constantly and how people treat me bad, I'm going to have all these different things on my mind that realistically are taking up my mental capacity to focus on other things. Like, for example, and I talked about that lady last week that came in and called me a little boy and told me to drop dead.
Yeah.
Part of me wants to talk about that stuff, but then another part of me wants to kind of just not bring it up, because in a way, if I bring it up again, I just did, they are still in my mind and I'm still thinking about that situation when I could be thinking about something else.
Yeah.
So it's, in a way, you definitely can try and reformulate your mindset that as long as you try and seek to understand why they might have treated you that way. And that's why I went about the way that I did, trying to be nice to them, because who knows what that lady was going through to go out of her way to tell me to drop dead and like insult me as a person. It's just, those situations do make me laugh, because it is hysterical that people can act that way, but then it is sad at the same time that if they actually are going through something,
They're
that,
just lashing out at random
yeah,
people.
exactly.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that, because there was a situation at work yesterday. Not, it wasn't involving me, it was someone else. But the person that was involved got called a stupid bitch by a customer because the woman was just an idiot. Like, the customer didn't know what she was ordering, and fucking um she messed up on how she ordered, and then when she got to the window and saw that she messed up, she was like, fuck you, I don't want your drinks, you stupid bitch. Because she like said she wanted smalls, but then got mad when they weren't t- larges at the window.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the person that it happened to dwelled on it for the rest of the day and was kind of in a bad mood because of it. So it definitely, it's almost like vampirism. Like, it's just draining when people act like that towards you.
Yeah. And I don't know, it is funny to think about those situations, because you aren't that type of person.
Yeah.
And to know that is good, because they are a reflection, how they act like that at the window to some customer service representative, or, food service, whatever, is how they're most likely going to treat their family, their friends.
Yeah.
So knowing that you're not like that person is
It's a win.
is a reassurance, I guess. But it's also sad to think that people do go about their day like that, and you do wish that they could, fix whatever they need to fix or get through whatever they're going through, so that they stop treating people badly and poorly.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's just something out of your control, that if you think about it too much, it's gonna weigh you down more than it's gonna give you the benefit of being able to connect with your coworker or have a laugh about something.
I hate when I get into situations like that, because I get into like extreme fight mode, like to the point where like it starts to get hard for me to talk because my adrenaline's going so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, because I get really anxious in those situations, and I get shaky, and like my heart rate
Yeah,
rises.
yeah.
And it definitely, sometimes if someone says something to me, I'll probably stutter a little bit, because I mean, I'm not really in that situation that often, so I'm not comfortable being the being on the other side of that and trying to take criticism and trying to either argue with someone and give it back to them or just be the bigger person and just explain what was going on or whatever. And it does come out that like I might be a little anxious or I'll stutter over my words, and then people will use that against you and make fun of you because of that and try and it realistically, like if someone's going to put you down for something like that, they're trying to find any gateway into trying to make you feel like less of a person.
Yeah.
And I was kind of proud of myself. Like I don't remember if I said this last week. I was proud of myself because I think I would have acted differently prior to a lot of like the self-improvement stuff that I've done with like reading and just trying to control what I can control. And I don't know. It's definitely different. I definitely am a different person than I was last year, even 2 years ago. I think I would have reacted a lot differently. And I'm proud of that in myself, I guess. But I guess that's the only thing you can really truly be aware of and control is how you react to the outside world.
Your reaction is everything. That's why even like growing up in fucking school, if someone was like bullying you and you retaliated, you're usually the one that got in more trouble because you had the option to not retaliate. And in that sense, that I think that's kind of fucking stupid, but it still shows that it's good to just keep your head on and not fucking blow up. Because there's a lot of situations where it would have been bad if I would have blown up. Where I've just, instead of like blowing up, I've just fucking embarrassed the people instead by saying like one thing. And you've heard about one of those days when I fucking embarrassed the people and they told me to come out into the parking lot. And but I didn't react because I very well could have gone out into the parking lot and probably beat the guy's ass because he was 5'7", 5'6", maybe 170 pounds, 160 pounds. It's nothing. So, but I chose to keep my head on and not blow up, and it made for a much better situation, a much better de-escalation. I mean, I always try to de-escalate though, because I'm not confrontational.
Yeah, I don't like being confrontational, especially when it's like, I don't like having to go up to someone and be like, hey, like, is something wrong? Can I do something for you? And then they just start coming at you.
Yeah.
It is you have to be in that situation multiple times to be able to control yourself and be able to figure out and think clearly. Because I think that's the one thing is like, I'm thinking about what they're trying to say to me. And then if they start like insulting me or whatever, I get anxious and I'm like, okay, well, I kind of want to say something back, but then I try to say something back and then I stumble over my words and then they make fun of you for that.
Yeah.
About that situation that happened in high school where the guy followed me outside of the back and hit me in the head, right?
His name was like Alex, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was. And that was just
you chirped him playing basketball.
Yeah, that was so stupid, bro. And that is also, I think, one of the things that I was always scared of too was retaliating, especially in like a school aspect and knowing that it's going to affect sports. Cause like if I didn't have sports on my mind, I probably would have retaliated back because, like I have nothing to lose technically. And now that situation is really interesting to me to think back about because that person was not a good person.
He's in jail now.
And to think if I did retaliate or try to fight back that something worse could have happened is scary because, I mean, listening and learning about what he ended up doing and stuff is like, okay, well, that probably was a good idea that I didn't retaliate back.
Yeah. You gotta pick and choose your battles and know which ones are worth fighting. That was not a battle that was worth fighting.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, you're a fucking idiot. There's literally a camera, like, right above us. Like, you're so dumb. And you got mad because I told you that you were cherry picking in a gym basketball game.
Yeah.
High school gym class. And he got mad. So he followed me out of the backside of the school and punched me in the face. And now I definitely would think a lot of people would be like, dude, you should have just fought him. He hit you. You should have just fought him.
But you would have gotten suspended.
Definitely would have gotten suspended.
I remember I came home crying from school once in 7th or 8th grade because I got into a fight after school. And I wasn't crying because I was hurt. I was crying because I thought I was going to get suspended. And I told my dad, and he's like, what the fuck? I'm proud of you. Don't cry over that.
Yeah, I actually think my dad told me I should have fought back. I think knowing my dad and trying to remember, I'm pretty sure he told me I should have done something. But
it was me and Tylak.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He came out of the doors after school and he had a fucking sucker and he threw it and it hit me in the head. So I We just walked over to him I picked up the sucker, walked over to him, threw it, like hit him in the chest, and then just started punching him. And we fought for like 2 minutes, and then he had to catch his bus, so we just separated. I started walking home, and he got in the bus. No teacher saw it or anything though. Like it was never mentioned by any faculty, so I didn't get in trouble. But I thought I was freaking the fuck out.
It just reminds me of like a video that I saw that these two kids started fighting, and one of them hit him with like a really good punch, and then they like just like dapped each other up and like walked away.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah,
he was like, "That was a good punch, man. Like, I'm good. We don't have to fight anymore." That's pretty funny, dude. It's crazy. It's actually interesting because I think about myself back then too, and I probably looked like someone that he wanted to pick on back then.
Yeah, I mean, like I was like definitely 160 soaking wet.
Yeah, probably. And I was probably I was obviously on the baseball team or whatever. So he was like, "Oh, this kid is small. He's known. He's on the baseball team and he's good. And I'm gonna beat the shit out of him and I'm gonna become cool because of it." Which was probably a thought. But dude, that situation actually made no sense to me. He literally threw one punch and walked away. Straight turned around and walked away.
Didn't scared.
Like straight turned around and walk away. I looked at him. I was like, "That was it." And then I just went home and I was like, okay. And then he got arrested because of it.
Like he got arrested because of that. He got arrested because he robbed a few gas stations. I think he shot someone.
Yeah. Probably a good idea that I didn't fight back. Just in case. Anyways, moving away from that topic. I was listening to a podcast and this guy was pretty much talking about how he goes into different, I guess, categories of like, okay, so he goes into like restaurants and he'll go into like software creation, like different types of business pretty much. And he's like, I always had like an eye for picking out who was the best, even though they weren't the best yet. So it's like out of a group of people, he was like, that person, they worked the hardest and something about them just tells me that they are going to go far in life one day. Right. And the guy that he was talking to, he's like, okay, well, what about these people did you see that set them apart from the other people? And he was like, I could tell that they were all in. No matter what they were going to do, whatever it was, restaurant business, creating software, it could be selling golf clubs, selling solar panels, whatever it is, they were always all in about it. And that's how he knew that at one point they will become successful because they had the work ethic and they had the ability and confidence to believe in themselves that they know if they work so hard at something and give it their all, they will become successful. And I thought that was a really good insight of like how you can see or build confidence in yourself that you will be something someday.
Yeah.
Because if you put everything into something, like everything into whatever it is, you're going to come out really good at that. Yeah. As long as you put in the time and the effort and obviously follow a path that would make sense, giving something your all for however long, you have a really high percentage of chance of actually making it.
See, I think that's honestly one of my biggest problems right now is I don't know what to go all into. And I think like I struggle with that a lot and that's something that I've struggled with my whole life where like there was not anything that really made me say like I want to lock this down and do this for the rest of my life as a career. And I still haven't found that thing. And it's like, I mean, it's scary, but I do want to find that thing that I can go all into and really put my all into it. But I struggle with trying to find that. Like, I don't, the only thing that I've ever really said, like, this is really interesting to me, I want to do more with this, is probably the stock market.
I think that's just like, instead of trying to figure out the best thing, just think of something that piques your interest or where you think your curiosity will follow and try it, because like, it doesn't even matter what it is, but as long as you know that you went and tried it, you can check it off the list and be like, okay, well, that I thought that was going to be cool, but it wasn't. And what's interesting to me is because this class that I'm taking, it's pretty much like it's introduction to information systems, but it's also like an intro to project management class where you have to group up with a team, meet twice a week, and you have to delegate tasks as a project manager to each person in the group, and then make sure everyone hits a deadline and gets the work done. And this has been like 2 weeks that I've been in this, and I find it, I actually don't like it at all. Like, it's weird that it's only been 2 weeks, but I don't like how this specific, it might be just this specific class and how it works. I just don't really like how we have to do the certain things. It is interesting though, because like I got paired with this lady that has a master's and a bachelor's in something. I don't exactly know, but she's getting another degree in data science because her company needs her to. So she's like, yeah, I pretty much do like virtual meetings and I plan this stuff and this and that all day, every day. So she's very experienced in this. And then on top of that, it's like, I'm trying to first, we have to use these specific softwares or programs to be able to piece everything together and delegate tasks. It's like, I've never used this before. So on top of like trying to plan out the tasks, I'm also trying to get homework done for two classes, and then do my work that I have to do at home, and then do everything else I have to do. So it's not like in a project manager, you're like, okay, you're going to do this, 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 and this. We need it done by this. And that's it. You're not really doing much else. I think, you have some other like administrative tasks you have to do, but you're not physically also doing that work yourself. Where this is like, you're delegating the tasks. You have to put everything in certain groups that everyone has to do, but then you also have to do it as well.
That's what I was going to ask. You have your groups, and does every person have to delegate?
So each week, how we set it up was, we had a vote pretty much was, do we want to have a project manager for every week, or do we want one person to do it for the entire time? So we decided that we should rotate between the 6 people in the group.
Yeah.
So that means each task, that person has to go in, separate all the tasks out, and delegate them to each person.
But does the project manager only delegate? They don't do any of the tasks?
No, they do it as well. They delegate themselves the tasks that they have to do.
Okay.
And then they're in charge of submitting it, putting it all together. And it's
finalizing the project.
Yeah, it's, obviously it might be a little bit tedious because it might be easier once you actually get into the role of a project manager. But it is difficult too, because not everyone has the same incentive to get everything done at the same period of time. Like, not everyone's going to do all this homework and whatever by a specific period of time, because they have other things to do. They have life, they have to work and stuff like that. And that's why, like, I don't know, this class seems like that it's obviously putting you in the mindset of like, okay, this is your job. And if it was my job, I feel like I would be a little bit more incentivized to do it. But it's also that, like, okay, you're in charge of this, you need to tell everybody what to do. That makes me like kind of not want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very interesting.
You got the way I think you got to look at it is like, if you were actually in that position and you were good at that position at wherever, you'd probably be much higher on the pay scale than everyone under you. And that's, I feel like reaping the rewards of that is definitely beneficial.
Yeah, well, for sure. Especially it's difficult though, because that lady has a lot of experience with all these other things, that if I give my input, or she kind of like pushes you in a direction like, oh, you should do this, or I think we should do this, if you're the project manager, that doesn't allow you to kind of think for yourself.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, because let's say pretty much my thought process was, I guarantee you that most of the other groups in this class don't have someone that has a master's and a bachelor's in whatever she does, because it's a related topic.
Yeah.
But you probably don't have someone that's really that in depth well-versed. And has that, well-versed in those specific, like what we're doing in other groups, that's pushing them and having them think a certain way. And obviously she's probably a good mentor to try and listen to, but there is times where she kind of takes everything over, which doesn't necessarily give you the opportunity to work towards it. But I think wrapping it back full circle was more of like, when you just pick something that you want to do and try, like, for example, I'm trying this degree and it's helping me figure out if I actually want to do what I'm trying to do. by actually doing this, it's kind of like, okay, well, maybe this class is like weeding me out from trying to be a project manager. It's teaching me that, like, okay, I tried it and I don't necessarily like that, so I'm probably going to try something else. And I think that's just emphasizing the importance on trying different things.
You just reminded me. I thought about this. I wanted to talk about it when we first started talking about this class, and I just remembered again, so I'm going to say it now. MIT just made, I don't know in specifics what classes, but there was like a computer science class and a few others. They made them free online.
Really?
Yeah, so I may go into their courses and just do a bunch of them, see what the workload is like and what's interesting to me. But the thing is, I think the way it works, because I read this like a week or a week and a half ago, I think like you can take the classes for free, but if you want the degree from them, like the certification, obviously, I think you need to pay for that.
Yeah, I think that is probably how it'll be. I'm trying to think of another. I mean, if you just think of like Coursera is like that too. You can take it free, but like to have access to the quizzes and to get the certification, you do have to pay. And I would assume it's probably a little bit more on especially MIT, but those classes would be very, very insightful for sure. Cause I see a lot of like, um, best free classes from universities on like X, and it'll like list them all out and then say like computer science this, IT this, blah 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 blah, and it shows you all these free courses that you can take at like Harvard and some Ivy League top schools.
Yeah,
And I think that's also emphasizing like how a lot of people are being self-taught nowadays, and how you don't necessarily need a degree, but you can learn a lot of information just free on like online, like for example those classes or YouTube or whatever it is. But yeah, definitely try that. I think that would be cool to see
it's
if you
worth
like
it.
it or not. Yeah,
I
for
did
sure.
also. I actually. It's funny that you said Coursera because I signed up for a learning how to learn class from Coursera.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, I've been
but
that's cool.
the other option I have is instead of taking school courses, I just throw myself into learning Forex and do the FTMO challenge.
That would be, I mean, being thrown into the fire is the best way to learn. So
Yeah, and
it's just finding your way, and if you have an easy way into it, and maybe you can meet like a mentor or someone that can help you out, then
yeah,
you're set, to be honest. And that's just the thing, is finding that person that can teach you about it, and that'll allow you to
to
learn so
grow
much
with them.
more.
Yeah, grow from them. Have I told you how the fucking FTMO challenge works before?
Isn't it like they give you like 10,000 or something, and then they see if you can make the most money out of it, and whoever makes the most money out of it or something?
Well, it's not. It's not a challenge in that aspect. As long as you meet their requirements, they fund an account for you. So, and as
Oh,
many people
okay.
as possible can do it because they're
Really?
making money on it. But
Okay.
they like make you paper trade with like $10,000, and you have to like hit a certain threshold in a certain amount of time, money made, and then they'll like fund an account for you with like. There's a few other steps, but eventually you can get $100,000 funded account, and you cannot touch the base 100,000. But any profit you make is yours. So if you make $15,000 in a day on a crazy Forex trade, because Forex is very, very volatile and that's very, very easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like the 15,000 is yours. You could withdraw it right then and there.
So what are the qualifications that you have to get into this?
Uh, you just oh fuck, hold on, I need to. How do I split a tab? There we go. You don't need any qualifications. You could just like sign up for it online.
Huh.
Let me see what the FTMO. There's also the funded trader, which is the same thing, just a different company. Yeah, so learn to trade on our simulated trading platform and get an opportunity to trade up to $200,000 on an FTMO account. Receive up to 90% of the profits from your simulated trades. Join FTMO, the founder of the modern prop trading industry. So it's okay? Step one, FTMO challenge: trading period unlimited, minimum trading days 4 days, maximum daily loss 500, maximum total loss 1,000, profit target 1,000, refundable fee $155. So you have to pay for it, but then Step 2 is unlimited trading period, minimum trading days 4, max daily loss 500, uh, profit target is another 500. That would be step 2 for a $10,000 balance account because there's
Hmm.
a bunch. So step 3 is FTMO trader, unlimited X through the minimum trading days. There is no minimum. Maximum daily loss 500, maximum loss 1,000, and then the profit target is there is no profit target because that's when you have a funded account with $10,000 and you can just
Huh.
make money with that. With like the $200,000 account, your maximum daily loss is 10,000, your maximum loss is 20,000, your profit target's 20,000, and your refundable fee is 1,080 euros.
That's crazy.
But if you spend that 1,000 euros and fucking complete the challenge, you're
Yeah.
trading with an account with $200,000 in it.
Dude, I wonder how many people just like, oh, I can do this. I can sign up. They threw like $1,100 at it and they lose all their money in like one day.
Yeah. They have like a free trial too.
Huh. That's interesting.
We aim for long-term business relationships. If you manage to be consistent and profitable, we will increase the balance of your FTMO account by 25% every 4 months according to the scaling plan.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So it's really cool.
Yeah. That's definitely a cool opportunity to just give not anybody, but give people that are willing to learn and test their skills and abilities against the stock market.
Yeah. But that's something that's piqued my interest for a while. I just haven't taken the time and put the effort in to learn Forex. I know the basics, but to really make money, I need to be able to go in and paper trade and fucking make $20,000 trades.
Yeah. Dude, I couldn't imagine like, okay, I'm going to take this 6 months and I'm going to learn how to paper. Like, I'm just going to straight paper trade. And you paper trade for 6 months and you gain like 20K and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
I could have just gained 20,000
in real money.
If I put this into the actual stock market. It kind of just reminds me of a thing that Alex Hormozy said that happened to him. So after his like first 5 years of becoming, I don't know if I've ever brought this up. I feel like I have. After his first 5 years of doing, I think it was a gym business. I don't exactly remember, but he had a business partner. And after those 5 years, they made like, I think like $1 million or something. Nothing too crazy for that period of time. But what ended up happening is he like messaged his business partner. He's like, hey, they're meeting up to do something, or they had something that they needed to do. And he messaged him and he just didn't respond. And then he looked and his accounts were cleared out. And the dude like moved to like a foreign country, just took everything and like moved. He's like, well, shit, I just spent 5 years with all my money invested into this company. And then this dude just ends up taking it and leaving it. Now I have nothing. Yeah. But then the next year, because of all the experience he had from that 5 years, he made like 10x what he made in that 5 years because of the experience. So it kind of makes me think that yes, you may like be like, fuck, I just spent 6 months learning this and I didn't make anything. Now you actually put it to the test and you could earn maybe 200K or even just like 100K because you have learned how the things and work and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's just all the benefit of going into something. I mean, I guess you really have to enjoy it, or you want to push through like the hard times when you suck at it. But you always come out more experienced at the other side. Because even if you don't go into that same topic or genre or whatever the fuck you do, you can bring those skills that you brought from there into something else, and you'll be able to move along faster than you were before.
Yeah, and honestly, not taking that 6 months with options trading back in the day, in like 2019, 2020, that's a huge part of the reason that I haven't traded in so long, because I didn't take the time to really learn in depth. And I thought I'm like, I know a little bit, I can handle it. And I made like $3,000 or $4,000 on a couple trades early. And I'm like, okay, cool. It was like an Apple options contract, like an Apple call, a Tesla call. I made like probably close to $4,000 between the two off of maybe 500. Mm-hmm. And then I got greedy and started making stupid plays that weren't like, I was just making assumptions and made a few bad trades and lost it all and didn't want to trade much anymore after that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guarantee you if you started again, you would probably even be able to make more gains because you have that experience and you're like, okay, well, I did this last time. I shouldn't do this again.
Yeah, it
But
wasn't
also,
a loss, it was a lesson.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that also brings up, like, sometimes you think, oh, it's going to take me, for example, if you're like, okay, if I'm going to do this for 6 months, you're like, shit, I have to do this for 6 months. That kind of sucks. But something that reformulates your mindset to realize that, how would I put this? Pretty much that, like, time is going to move along either way.
So might as
So
well do it now.
yes, so it's like you're either going to do it in the 6 months or you're going to be the same person you were in the 6 months, because time's going to move no matter what.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good mindset when it comes to thinking about something, how long something will take, is that you're either going to get there and the time's going to pass, or you're not going to get there and time's going to pass. And that's like my idea with school. I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, I know it's going to take forever, or it seems like forever at least, but I feel like I'll spend multiple years of staying in the same place, that realizing that time is going to move either way is kind of like a kick in the nuts.
Yeah. Because it's shitty to look back and think, oh yeah, like I'm the exact same person that I was 6 months ago.
Exactly.
No new knowledge.
And I don't know. I'm trying to think of something that I would want to do and just jump into right away. I think the first thing that comes to mind is obviously probably personal training people. As we talked about in the episode with Caitlin, I'm still in the same spot as I was a month ago or 2 months ago even. But other than that, I can't really think of something that I can just jump into. That's the thing, though, is I think that's why I'm so inclined to go into doing something sports related or athletic, or like more athletically inclined to do, because you get results right away.
Yeah.
You can see yourself improving in a short period of time and see a goal that you're working towards in like 6 months, a year, or whatever. Like, for example, I signed up for the Honolulu Marathon.
Yeah.
And that's going to be crazy. I've never ran a marathon in my life, but it also gives me that outlook to be like, I have a deadline that I need to hit. And by that deadline, I'm either going to be able to run a marathon or I'm not going to be able to run a marathon.
Yeah.
So it's the same idea of either building knowledge or learning a new skill or whatever. And also the importance of giving yourself deadlines, because if you don't have a goal, you have nothing to work towards.
Yeah.
Dreams without goals are just dreams.
I have, honestly, this week, I just have a lot of not everything, but I have a lot of fucking quotes that what the fuck just happened? We're still in the Discord call, and it like sounded like I got moved to another channel in a Discord server, but I think I don't know, something just happened with the internet. Let me deafen that so I don't hear that again. But yeah, I wrote down a lot of quotes because I found a lot of good quotes this week that really stuck with me. I don't even know which one I want to talk about first, because there's a lot of good ones. Actually, we're not going to go with quotes. We're going to talk about this first, because I read this, and this was like, I don't know, it really made me think hard for some reason. So this guy said, one thing I note often is that knowledge is fractal. You can spend part of your life knowing chainsaws exist without much detail. So yeah, chainsaws are there. They're a thing. And then you get into it, and there's different brands. You have different bar lengths. You have swappable power heads. And like, the more you look into chainsaws, the more you know. And it's just, I don't know why, but it's a crazy concept to me that you will never know everything about something. It kind of makes me angry. Because like, even if you think you know everything, there's still probably something that you haven't figured out yet.
Yeah, it's also connecting it to like mastering an idea. Is if you think you mastered it, think again, because you aren't ever going to master some situation or some sort of knowledge. Or even think about like, okay, you may know all the basic knowledge about chainsaws, but you go meet someone that's like a chainsaw developer.
Yeah.
And designs chainsaws. And he's
going
to be like, well,
fucking nothing.
Yeah, he's going to be like, well, you actually can create a new chainsaw by limiting the amount of gears that are here so that it's more efficient when it's cutting trees and blah, 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 blah. because you may like master just the basic chainsaw that, you know, a handheld chainsaw, but then you don't think about those like super mega chainsaws that like cut the tree and then shave it down and then launch it in the basket in the back. I don't know if you've ever seen one of those things.
Mulching
that, like,
it, yeah.
That like grabs it around the side, like shaves all the branches off of it and then cuts it into pieces. That's technically a chainsaw.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah.
But that is interesting to think about how many different things that you can learn about a singular topic, and how if you actually are interested in something, you can learn so much about it. And then, dude, what's weird about that too is there's a niche for that. If you become a chainsaw master, become a chainsaw master, and you go on TikTok and you start talking about chainsaws, there's going to be people that are interested in you talking about chainsaws, and they're like, what's the best chainsaw? What's the budget chainsaw? How do I build a chainsaw? What's the best chainsaw to use against these type of branches? Or if I have a forest in my backyard, how am I supposed to use this chainsaw to do this? People are interested in that. And it's crazy.
I'm going to show everyone how to put different types of worms onto hooks for fishing.
That's a very useful tactic. I have no idea how to do that.
Yeah, I'd be a masturbator.
That was a good setup for that.
Yeah. All right.
What is something that
the podcast on that? Podcast is over.
See you guys.
See you guys
later.
What is?
I was gonna say, what is something that you have found that you would just do endless research on? Something like that.
Space.
Space?
Just space in general. Not anything particular in space. I just love the concept and idea of space as a whole. How it's endless and it's the vast unknown, and there's trillions upon trillions of things that we will never discover in the universe because it is so big. And just the magnificence of the things that we have discovered. Like I saved this. This is the most recent picture in my camera roll. It's what the fuck is it called? It has like a horse's. It's the something nebula. I want to say like the Mustang Nebula or something like that. I'm pretty sure it's related to a horse. And then this is I think they're called the Pillars of Creation. And I made this my new header on Twitter.
The face cam definitely doesn't do it justice.
Yeah, it looks a lot better in the 4K.
Go check out your Twitter. What's your Twitter, man?
At Tommy Morgan with no A.
There you go. You can go check it out for yourself.
I just texted you the
picture.
The pillars of
the Pillars of Creation.
I'm pretty
sure. Sounds like a domain
expansion.
Domain expansion. Pillars of Creation.
Pillars of Creation. Yeah, it is. They're part of the Eagle Nebula.
Eagle. And it's so weird to think about too, if you use like the Hubble telescope and you're seeing something like however many miles and miles and miles away, that it's actually in the past because of like the time,
because of how long it's
like the speed of light and stuff like that, which is
damn
which is insane to think about though. Like how much, I mean, even just think about the movie Interstellar and how
every tick in the movie is like a day on Earth. And or like what you're talking
scary.
about. There's like, we just saw like a huge supernova that was 3,000 light years away, which means it happened 3,000 years ago. It's because it takes 3,000 years for that light to reach us.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. And there's so much to think about with space, and it's really just, it's never ending knowledge. And I think that's why it's so interesting to me, because there's never a cap on it.
Mm-hmm. It just makes you, I wish there was a way to explore as space. Like a normal human being, as like, explore space. Because it's just something that not many people will ever get to do, even go up into space, let alone explore it.
Yeah. I want to go see the fucking Horsehead Nebula or the Pillars of Creation up close.
Do you think there's
the black hole at the center of the galaxy?
What is it called? Do you think there's constellations when you go up into space? Like instead of it being up, like we're looking up, it's just like everywhere. Or do you think it's just
I don't think there's constellations anymore, because I feel like you'd see a lot more stars, which would mean the constellations would be kind of broken up because there'd be more in them. But I think they'd still be there because they're like, think of like, hold on. Let me look this up for example. So the Big Dipper is 80 light years away from Earth. You fly up into space, you're going what? 25 miles, 30 miles up, 50 miles up, maybe 62 miles up. So you fly 62 miles up into space compared to your 4.703 to the 14th power, which is like trillions, I think trillions of miles. So that constellation is trillions of miles away, and you're going 62 miles up into the air to see it. I don't think it's really going to change your relative position to it much. It'll still appear how it
True.
would.
Which is crazy though, because if you think about it, space is like an hour and 20-minute drive away.
Yeah, if you drove straight up, it's not far.
That's insane to think about. Let's just build a ramp straight up and see how it goes.
See, I could make it in like 40 minutes, 45.
Yeah, you could probably make it in 45, especially with your new car, not your Jeep anymore.
Yeah, on 90 when I'm going 100 miles per hour.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going 70 the speed limit, but with
yeah,
two zeros.
Drive the
And
speed limit, kids.
One.
Moving away from space, but staying in something that's just as crazy, which is like the ocean. This is not exactly related to the ocean. It's what's in the ocean. So if you look up submarinecablemap.com.
Oh, I know. All the fucking underground internet cables.
Yes, that go across the entire world.
Ocean bed.
Yep, and it's
Wait, hold on. What's the website?
submarinecablemap.com. And currently, I think this is right now, there's over 1.3 million kilometers of fiber and 426 undersea fiber optic systems around the entire planet.
Holy shit.
And it's pretty sweet to look up. Submarine. All right, I forgot already. Submarinecablemap.com.
Maps is another thing that I'm like that with, where I just love learning about them. And you fucked up showing me this because I'm going to go through and learn like every single cable is.
It's insane. And then like those cables itself, I learned that they're probably about the size of like a regular garden hose, one that you just like regularly have at home.
Yeah.
And then inside that, because the fiber optic cables are so small, they're like hair thin, pretty much. There's just so many fiber optic cables in there that are able to transfer everything throughout the entire world. Yeah, you think of like this circumference of a circle and then a bunch of hairs in there. Just imagine how many hairs or how many fiber optic cables there are around the entire universe, or I guess the world. But you also think about like, how do we go from a planet, right? It started out as a planet with nature, rocks, no technology, and then somehow we created Bluetooth.
The
like,
idea
how do we go from
was I read about, so there was like some European figure, I think he was like Nordic, and his name was Bluetooth.
His name was Bluetooth.
King Harald Bluetooth Gormson, a Viking king who united Denmark and Norway in 958. The king was known for his dark blue or gray dead tooth, which earned him the nickname Blatan, which translates to Bluetooth in English. So the Bluetooth logo is a combination of two ancient Danish runes, the star for H and the like fucking two triangles symbol is B, which are the initials of Harald Bluetooth.
Mm-hmm.
And they named it after him because he connected Denmark and Norway.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
But then, yeah, Bluetooth after that was created in sometime in the 1900s.
Bluetooth.
I can't find
It's
that
gotta
half
be late
of what
1900s.
I read about. Yeah. But that's where the name comes from, is that Viking.
Bluetooth.
Because he connected those two lands. So, and Bluetooth is connecting to devices that have Bluetooth capabilities, and that's why it's named Bluetooth.
That's crazy. That's an interesting way to figure out how Bluetooth was Not created, but the naming of it was created.
See, this is what I mean by I know so much fucking stupid, useless facts, but I can never think of them until they come up in conversation. That is one of those facts that exactly 100%. I could have never in a million years thought of it until you said that.
It's better to know a lot about a little than a little about a lot.
I'm trying to learn a lot about Forex in the stock market.
Yep. And a little about Forex and a little about options and a little about investments and
Futures.
and gold and silver and
I was
companies.
told at work yesterday to start investing in silver.
Silver?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
My chains are silver. I'm already invested. You got a gold chain.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like silver. Silver's pretty sweet. Why do they say to?
Well, like investing in like silver stocks, not actual silver, because what was the reasoning? The woman was basically like, gold is going to be useless and we have no use for gold, whereas silver is used in like computers and things like that, so it's going to start shooting up in price. And then I was talking to her about how if I was going to invest in a precious metal, like, yeah, I might invest in silver, but I'd also invest in lithium because lithium is a huge one, or like cobalt, I think they use in a lot of electronics too. And then we started talking about like how Taiwan is the only country in the world that creates the like superconductor chips or whatever they are.
Oh yeah. Well, I think they're probably created there, but I think they're like the design of them comes from the US, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Because that's why Taiwan is such a big ally to have, and we can't let is it Korea or China? I think it's China.
China wants take to overtake.
Yeah, because of how many things come out of Taiwan and like technological wise, if they take it over, like so many things will get shut down.
Yeah. And so many electronics, like car systems, fucking phones, computers, video cards. There's a bunch of shit that just would not be able to be produced if Taiwan lost the ability to do it, because no one else produces those things.
Yeah. Which is crazy that it's a small country that it could be taken over.
Yeah.
Not
apparently
easily.
China's like surrounding it right now, and they're really getting ready for declaration of war. And I also read that the US Army is preparing for war right now too, which means because if China attacks Taiwan, I think we're at war with China.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I definitely. There's definitely a plan in place, which is crazy, dude. What point would it have to get to for a draft to occur?
Running low on active duty and reserves.
So like a lot of people would have to die.
Yeah, I mean, there's like what maybe 1.7 million people in the Army Reserves right now, I think. There's 190,000 in the reserves, and then the entire military is 2,079,142 military personnel and 778,539 civilians. So we'd have to go through at least like 1.5 million people, start to exhaust those reserves. And then they'd say, okay, we're running out of people. We need more men. That's when they'd incite a draft. And that would only happen if we were in the midst of like World War III. And that would honestly, if we got invaded, I think that's really the only scenario that we'd see a draft.
What's crazy though is I feel like that it seems so improbable, because I feel like a lot of the technology now is going to try and prevent as many people from going in physically as possible. Like lots of drones, lots of like, I mean, I guess they're all considered drones in a way.
Yeah, have you seen the videos on Twitter?
Unmanned vehicles and stuff.
Have you seen the videos on like Twitter or anywhere of the fucking Ukrainian drones just flying at Russians and blowing them to pieces?
No.
I see those videos every single day, and it's always new videos because they're kamikaze drones. They have this little like tripwire on the front of it, and once that tripwire hits something or someone, it detonates, like the C4 that's in it. There's those ones, and then there's the ones that drop grenades on people.
Okay.
So there's videos of drones flying in, dropping a grenade on a Russian guy, the Russian guy freaking out, and then like his head gets blown off by the grenade, and you just see him laying there. Then the suicide drones, you see the video until it hits, and once it hits, it blows up, and then they'll have another drone up above it recording so you can see the video from there too. It's really fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about if Ukraine has that, can you imagine what the powerhouses have?
Yeah. Your China, your Iran, your USA, Russia. Russia not so much, but the other ones.
Yeah. Well, like the
GB.
technology is insane. You know, it also is funny to think about. I was talking about this at work. If like superpowers and shit were real, and okay, this is I know you haven't watched Jujutsu Kaisen, but when you do like so Gojo does like this technique and it's called hollow purple, and it pretty much just like creates invisible matter and just destroys everything around it. And like the circumference of like I don't even know, dude. It's like 100 feet up, 100 feet in diameter, and then like think of it like a circle with 100 feet diameter, and then do like
So
this,
basically a nuke.
pretty much.
Like a
Could you
mini nuke.
imagine? Yeah, could you imagine if someone was just like someone bad had superpowers like that, and they were like, all right, fuck the earth. They just look straight down and just shoot a fucking nuke straight into the fucking earth, into its core,
And blows it up. Yeah.
and just blow it up. And that's how it makes me think that one, yes, it would be cool to have some sort of superpower or curse technique or whatever, but that would mean that bad people would have it as well. And then someone crazy enough to just say, fuck it, I'm just going to destroy the earth, which is even more crazier because technically someone with a nuke that's crazy enough to have the ability to do that could technically just do that. If they're like, I don't give a shit if I live, I don't give a shit about anything, I'm just going to nuke in the middle of the ocean like 4 times, and then the world would probably end.
It would have to be really, really, really powerful though for that to happen. Because I mean, there's like during the like Cold War and the nuclear testing phases during like the 50s and 60s, I saw a video. It was like a time lapse from like when the US started dropping and testing their first nukes in the early 40s all the way through the last time a nuke was dropped. And there was like hundreds of fucking nukes that were dropped around the world in that time frame. Some like there were years that like France dropped like 30 to 40 out in like the Papua New Guinea waters area, like the Oceania area, out in those waters. And a lot of people tested in those waters. And there was like Russia fucking would go out into Siberia and drop fucking 12 nukes in a 2-week span.
That's
just
insane,
to test them.
dude. Hey, good for the earth to be able to withstand it.
Yeah. And I mean, you look at like Chernobyl, there's still fucking fallout from fucking Chernobyl. And that was, I don't even know what it was, 89, I think, for almost 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
When did the Chernobyl disaster happen?
That was just like was that a nuclear plant that exploded?
Yeah, it was a nuclear meltdown at a reactor. 1986. I was close. Wow. I said 89. But yeah, the reactor had a catastrophic meltdown and it caused a like huge explosion.
Damn, that's crazy. The possibilities of bad people.
That's why there's all these fucking nuclear arms treaties now, because they realized what the fuck it was doing to the environment.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. All right, I'm gonna veer off nuclear and natural disasters. I guess that's not a natural disaster, but I want to go into something that I actually found really interesting in this book called "Outlive: The Science and Art of Longevity." And this specific section was called the Centenarian Decathlon. So a centenarian is someone that lives 100 years. Yeah, and pretty much what the guy was talking about in this section was he presented a framework for his patients to have physical aspirations for pretty much their entire lives. So he made a list of physical tasks that people would want to do or might want to do until they're 100 years old, pretty much. So he listed 10, and I'll go through them. So number 1, hike 1.5 miles on a hilly trail. 2, get up off the floor under your own power using a maximum of 1 arm for support. 3, pick up a young child from the floor. 4, carry 2 5-pound bags of groceries for 5 blocks. 5, lift a heavy 20-pound suitcase into an overhead compartment of a plane. 6, balance on one leg for 30 seconds, eyes open. Bonus points if you have eyes closed. 7, have sex. 8, climb 4 flights of stairs in 3 minutes. 9, open a jar. And 10, do 30 consecutive jump rope skips. Now, so those are obviously things that you want to be able to do for as long as possible, right?
Mm.
So my question to you is, what do you think your 10 things would be that you want to be able to do for the rest of your life?
I'd say run a mile.
Can you do that right now?
Yeah. Yeah, I can run a mile right now if I needed to. Maybe rough. I'll probably be after, but I could get it done in under 7.5, maybe 8. No, 7 because
seven and a half minute mile. Are you serious? You think so?
No, the slower I run, the harder it is for me to run. So I'd have to keep a decent pace. Like I'd prefer to run than walk. But yeah, run a mile, throw a baseball, have sex. That was a good one. I felt that one. Eat what I want. So like keep a good enough diet intact that I can still eat what I want when I want, and I don't have to worry about problems like diabetes or high cholesterol, high blood pressure, kidney stones later in life. What's that for? Throw a baseball. Be number 5. You said that
already.
I did?
Yeah.
God damn. This is hard. I need to like write them down as I go. I don't know, like pick up my kids. I want to be able to, when I'm 100, I want to be able to pick up my 60-year-old son. Go up and down stairs.
Comfortably,
yeah. Fish. I want to be able to cast, reel. I don't know. I think I'm at 8, but I'm kind of out of ideas.
I can say some of mine. I wrote a few down.
I want to hear yours.
So, I mean, mine are pretty basic. Some of them are definitely like yours as well. Play sports in general. Like, and this is technically like 5 things, but golf, basketball, boxing, baseball, and be able to swim. I guess running is one too. Those are 2 separate ones though. So like play sports and then run. Lift kids up as well. Build furniture without pain. Video game, but I put with this
video
one.
Game, yeah.
It says I put it like comes with staying cognitively healthy, not just physically healthy.
Yeah.
Hike longer distances, drive.
Drive and like gaming are 2 that
drive
I would have
at
said.
a capability that people don't question my driving.
Yeah.
Because it's like there's a lot of older people that drive and they're like, why the fuck are you driving right now?
Yeah.
I only wrote down 7, but I can think of like maybe like write.
Writing honestly is a good one because like say you have shaky hands when you're older, it's hard to write.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you see a lot of people like even eat, like I guess you can say eating too, like eating, because like a lot of people are, I mean, you get shaky when you're older.
Yeah, like Parkinson's.
Yeah. But that's 8. I can't really think of 2 other things off the top of my head. But what's interesting, how you said that, you know, you can run a specific time for a mile. That has a lot to do with something called VO2 max, which actually has a very high correlation with like if your VO2 max is higher, your lifespan and health span will be longer, pretty much.
Yeah.
So this guy was doing a bunch of studies to test VO2 max, and let's see. So VO2 max is typically expressed in terms of volume of oxygen a person can use per kilogram of body weight per minute. An average 45-year-old man will have a VO2 max around 40 milliliters. What is it? 40 milliliters per minute, I guess I
of
could say.
Oxygen inhaled.
Yeah, per minute. While an elite endurance athlete will likely score in the high 60s. And an unfit person in their 30s or 40s, on the other hand, might score only in the high 20s on a VO2 max test, according to Mike Joyner, who's an exercise physiologist and researcher at the Mayo Clinic. So they did a study based on like how your mortality rate changes depending on what your VO2 max is. So obviously the fittest people had the lowest mortality rates, but if you consider a person who smokes, which has a 40% greater risk of all cause mortality, that is, of course, the risk of dying at any moment, than someone who does not smoke, representing a hazard ratio of 1.4. The study found that someone with below average VO2 max for their age and sex, that is between 25th and 50 percentiles, is at double the risk of all cause mortality compared to someone in the top quartile, which means that poor cardiorespiratory fitness carries a greater relative risk to death than smoking.
So not running is worse for
So
you than
not
smoking?
having a higher VO2 max is worse than smoking.
Being a smoker.
Yeah. Okay. So technically, if you were a smoker and you had a higher VO2 max, which I'm not sure how that really can correlate, because I know that obviously affects your lungs, but that just shows how important it is, because it even said that if you have, it said just climbing from the bottom 25% into the 25 to 50% percentile means you cut your risk of death nearly in half. So you not double your chance of living longer, but I guess 25% chance of decreased mortality rate, which is just insane to think about how much of a difference VO2 max actually makes.
Yeah.
What does this say? Someone in the least fit 20% has a 4.9 times greater risk of dying than a person in the top 2% of their age and sex category. So even at a moderate fitness level, someone is still more than double the risk of all-cause mortality than the fittest of the fittest group. So it just kind of emphasizes the fact that you should work on your VO2 max.
Yeah.
Because it literally correlates with health and lifespan. And then it goes into just pretty much how you should do that. And it's by pretty much testing your ability to take in as much oxygen and run and do high intensity things for as long as possible, pretty much.
Cardiovascular health.
Yeah. And I think it's really interesting, because that can change. If you just want to be fit in general, just focusing on VO2 max and just like your cardiorespiratory fitness is very important.
See, the one thing that I question about that, though, obviously there's going to be outliers, but there's been a recent uptick in young, healthy people having significant cardiovascular problems, like going into cardiac arrest. I mean, it even happened, like Bronny James was the one that I'm thinking of right now. But that has been happening significantly more to these people that are in that top 1 percentile of, I'm guessing, VO2 max, because they're elite athletes playing at the highest level.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one thing that makes me say, like, maybe there's not 100% correlation, or something else is going on that's making this happen to these people. Because honestly, I feel like that is probably a very valid study, because it's been that way for a long time. The better in shape you are, the better your cardiovascular health. That's basic common knowledge for most people, that'll probably extend your lifespan at least a bit. But recently, there's been a lot of issues with that shit, with people that are supposed to be in the top percentile.
Mm-hmm. The only thing I feel like that might be is like, okay, you think of the top percentile of people, right? Maybe Bronny James was in that. Maybe they were so high in that top percentile that their VO2 max was so high that it was, in a way,
harmful.
Deadly. Yeah, harmful. Which, I mean, obviously, in this book, at least to the point that I've gotten to, it hasn't really gone into that much. And obviously, like you said, there is outliers, so it could have just been, in a way, a coincidence. But there definitely would need to be a study of like top 1% of people to see if there is a coincidence, or there is a risk of having too high of a VO2 max.
Yeah. This person had a 92.5 VO2 max. Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I don't know what mine is. My Apple Watch tells me it, but I don't think it's accurate. But yeah, there's like a simple VO2 max test, but you have to have, I think you have to have
like an Apple Watch.
something to track it. Yeah.
Yeah. Does your Whoop track it?
I don't think my Whoop tracks it. A VO2 max test or maximal oxygen uptake test measures a person's aerobic capacity and ability to use oxygen to generate energy. During a VO2 max, a person's oxygen consumption is measured while they exercise at increasing intensities. Treadmill, they start at a slow pace and the speed or incline increases in set increments over 10 to 20 minutes, and the person stops when they can't continue. Okay, so that's pretty much what it is, I guess. So I guess you start off at a slow pace, either walking, running. You can do like the assault bike.
Yeah.
But it tests how long you can go for at like the highest of intensity. And I think like the highest of intensities, I think. Because that's what it's like pretty much once you run out of oxygen, that's your max amount of oxygen that you have until you have to stop and take in more oxygen.
Yeah.
Because when you're obviously exerting the oxygen when you're doing like the assault bike or you're walking or you're running, sprinting wise. So I definitely do want to do that because I want to know if I'm in the below average or
I definitely don't think you'd be in below average. You're going to be somewhere in the upper 50%.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that when I read that, when it said it was like, because my Apple Watch said I was in like the 40s. And that says the average 45-year-old man will have a max of 40. But like I said, I don't know if the Apple Watch is very accurate when it comes to VO2 max. So I don't know. Also, my short-term endurance, my sprinting ability has definitely become a lot worse over the last few years. Long distance is decent, but
you can run long distance more efficiently than you can sprint.
Yeah, so like I would probably be extremely tired sprinting like 3 down and backs or 5 down and backs, but I could probably run 10 miles.
Yeah.
At like a normal pace.
At a slower pace than you'd be doing the sprints.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And at that point, I don't think I would be like, I think I would still have oxygen left over. But obviously, you are using much more oxygen when you're sprinting than when you're running at a fucking, or than when you're running at like a 12 or 13 mile pace or 13-minute pace. But which is also interesting because this is like a pretty common thing known for, like when it comes to running, is if you actually want to become a better runner, you should run in zone 2, which is relatively slow. I think my zone 2 is like 11.5-minute mile or 12-minute mile, and you actually become a better long distance runner by running at a slower pace.
I hate running at a slow pace.
I hate running at a slow pace too, but I guess it's the best way to become a better endurance runner. Yeah. So that's like, especially training for a marathon, I'm going to have to learn to try and stay in zone 2 as much as possible because I know it's going to help me out in the long run.
Yeah.
And I don't think I really ever trained in zone 2 for my half marathon last year, nor did I really do that much of like intense training for it. I didn't really take it very seriously. So that's why I want to take it very seriously this time, especially because like, dude, I'm going to be doing a half in September, a marathon in December, and then I'm going to be boxing every week up until then. So, I'm going to be going to the gym 4 times a week, probably running minimum 4 times a week, and then boxing every week.
I mean, you kind of have to take it seriously because, you finished the half marathon, but you're running that twice now. So you can't just bullshit through it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, some people do, and I applaud them for that because there is like videos of like, oh, these people are training so hard for this marathon, but I'm just going to sign up and go run it, and they end up doing it. And that's a different, I don't know. They obviously don't do like that well. They just finish, which if I probably took a marathon at like a 15-minute pace, I would finish in however long, but I definitely could finish. Because that just brings up the idea of like being competitive with myself, because I know I could finish both without wanting to do or go very fast. But I also have that competitive edge. It's like, okay, well, I want to beat myself from last time, and I actually want to do well enough to be able to
qualify for
for whatever. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, this one actually wouldn't qualify you for the Boston. You'd have to go to like a major, like a Chicago one.
Yeah.
But I do have like, I don't know, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how I come out on the other side after this. I guess it's 6 months of training right now, 6 months of boxing, 6 months of running, because it's the 31st of May.
You just reminded me again. I wanted to talk about this at the start of the episode. This is way off topic from anything we've been talking about. Do you know what's really crazy to me?
What's that?
How many people don't know when the month that they're currently in, or any months, have 30 or 31 days? It is really crazy to me that is not common knowledge and people have to like look it up. I was thinking about that today because a few days ago someone was like, there's 31 days in May, and I'm like, are you kidding or no? And they were serious.
I usually don't know off the top of my head, but I know it's obviously like
January
it makes
has
sense.
Yeah, January is 31, February is 28 to 29, March is 31, April's 30, May's 31, June's 30, July and August are 31, September's 30, October's 31, November's 30, December's 31, back to January at 31. There's a trick for it. I'm going to show all you guys so that I don't get mad at you for not knowing this. So you take your hand like this. You got your knuckles. I got to sit a different way. All right, so you got your knuckles here. You have your knuckle and your pit. Knuckle is 31 days. Pit is 30 or under because February is a pit. So you got January is 31. February is 28. March is 31. April's 30. May is 31. June is 30. July is 31. And then you come back to here. August is 31. September's 30. October's 31. November's 30. December's 31. Did you understand that at all?
I did, but then why does it not end off on the end? I mean, obviously there's more months than
because
Knuckles,
there's 12 months and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 14 between your knuckles and your holes. So
makes sense. Okay, makes sense going through once.
Yeah, if you want to go back, once you hit here, you'd have to go January, and that would make sense. So you always have to start on this knuckle. Mm-hmm. But yeah, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December.
Interesting. You don't have to worry about being under 30, and except for February anyway. So
yeah,
interesting. More basic knowledge that I learned. I mean,
and honestly, like, you don't even need to do that. All you need to remember is July and August both have 31, and then the rest of them alternate. Because it's January 31, February 30, 28, March 31, April 30, May 31, June 30. Okay,
interesting.
enough of that. Yeah. We've covered that topic for 5 minutes now. We can move on.
I was actually just going to go back to not the VO2 max thing, but kind of like the centenarian decathlon. Like, we listed out things that we want to be able to do for as long as possible.
Yeah.
And I honestly preach to people that like either don't know what they want to do in the gym, or say like, oh, I need a program, or I don't know what I need to do when I go in, or there's so many machines and stuff, that I think if you look at it in the sense of a centenarian decathlon, whatever you want to do that every single day. Like, do workouts specifically for those things. Like, for example, if you want to be able to play basketball for the rest of your life, you should at least be jumping once a day and shooting once a day, and maybe doing some things that strengthen your legs, strengthen your shoulders and your hands and stuff to be able to dribble the ball and shoot the ball and stuff. There's this one thing that I heard, that this one guy goes in and does one box jump every single day, because not everyone does that. That's 365 jumps, more than someone that doesn't ever jump. So your body's going to get obviously
more
immune to jumping and falling if you don't simply do that. So simply adding one jump in a day over the entire year is going to help you a lot more over 10 years, 20 years than it would be if you just simply don't do anything. Like, for example, lifting your kids up. There's a commercial. I don't remember exactly what it was for.
I know exactly what commercial.
But it was like this grandpa would lift up a kettlebell and up and down every single day so that he could
picking up his daughter,
picking up his grandchild to put the star on the tree. It's like a very good example of it, because he was technically working out so that he could do just that.
Yeah, part of his decathlon.
So that's very easy way to go about a training program and being able to do things that you want to do. I mean, it's easier for things like golf and like swimming because you can literally just like go golf and swim, and like those things are going to correlate for as long as possible. As long as you, I mean, maybe you should do some core strengthening exercises. I mean, normal strength training and stuff is probably suggested, especially trying to strengthen your body for a long period of time. And actually, in this book, it was getting into stuff about like accidental deaths and accidental like injuries, and a lot of it has to do with falls. And that's because over time, people lose so much muscle that their ability to catch themselves when they're falling or absorb any sort of impact is lessened so much that they either hurt themselves severely, break something, or end up like hitting their head and dying.
That Memorial Day party that I was at on Monday, uh, the woman that we go for every year, she fell down her stairs and it killed her. My grandma fell down my stairs when I was like, or the house I grew up in stairs when I was like 10 or 11, and that almost killed her too. And I mean, there's a lot of people that my great grandpa, my grandma's dad, fell out of a golf cart, hit his head, died. My great grandma, his husband, or his wife, like the great grandpa that died, 6 or 7 years later, got pushed by one of my second cousins, and she fell and hit her head on a chair, died. I've had multiple people in my life die because of falls. So that is, yeah.
That's crazy. It just realistically, if you want to think of a very basic way of writing your own exercise program, is
Jump.
jump and land, jump and take impact, run at a VO, like run with in zone 2, and then lift weights in the way that you would want to be able to do things later in the future.
Yeah.
I think it's very simple. Like if you don't really know what to do and you just have one goal is to be
Work on the muscle groups that you're going to use.
exactly
Yeah.
do what you think you're going to be doing in the future, and you'll be honestly you'll be a lot well off compared to the people that are not doing anything at all, which is crazy to begin with.
All right, you want to hear another evil thing that the United States is up to?
Sure.
The U.S. pharmaceutical industry has pledged to lobby the Senate and Congress to sanction China over the latest breakthrough in a cure for diabetes, claiming major losses in insulin revenue should China continue with this development.
Huh.
They're trying to place sanctions on China because scientists in Shanghai achieved a historic breakthrough after successfully eliminating a long-term patient's type 2 diabetes through a pioneering cell therapy treatment. The 59-year-old patient of 25 years, so he's had diabetes for 25 years. He wasn't born with it. This is type 2 is the one that you develop.
Mm-hmm.
He received a transplant of pancreatic cells derived from his own stem cells in 2021. He is now insulin independent, which means he doesn't need insulin at all to eat. His pancreas is working again, and it's creating his own insulin. And this is the world's first successful use of stem cell derived isolate transplantation to cure diabetes. So they've found a way to make the pancreas start working again so that there would be no need for insulin injections of any way, shape, or form. And the United States is trying to put sanctions on China because they did this, because they don't want to lose money on insulin sales. And insulin is the most expensive in America versus anywhere else in the world.
Damn.
Yeah. It hits close to home because my brother's type 1 diabetic, and my entire life he's been diabetic as long as I can remember, because one day his pancreas just stopped working. He started, when he'd piss, it looked like it was like really thick, and it looked like almost like caramel coming out, or like corn syrup. Yeah. Corn. It looked like he was pissing out corn syrup, and they took him to the doctor when he was probably 5. And they were like, yeah, he has diabetes and he's needed insulin every day since then.
Damn.
And it's fucking expensive. And it's just crazy to me that the U.S. would try to drive away this cure.
Yeah. All for money.
Yeah. Watch this scientist end up
grab.
dead. Or these scientists end up dead.
Yeah, that's very scary and fucked up. Especially, I mean, Caitlin has type 1 diabetes, but that was COVID induced.
Yeah.
So I think once they find a cure for type 1, that's going to be a big difference, because type 2 you can technically get rid of,
With
I
dietary
think,
and
with,
lifestyle changes.
yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
type 1 you have less than, usually it's less than 1% usage of your pancreas.
Yeah. That's crazy. But I think once they develop something for type 1, which obviously would probably be a little bit more difficult because it's a different process, but that's when you'll see some funky things going on.
Yeah.
I guess I actually have a topic that's related to the US and voting. So this article is called
Is
by, it was
it,
by,
let me stop you. Is it the 143 House Democrats? Is that what it's about?
no,
Oh,
no, no,
okay,
no.
never mind.
So it's an article by the Dispatch, and it's called Choosing Not to Choose. So I'm going to skip a little bit of it, but I'm just going to go to this one headline, and then I'll read a first paragraph. It says, voting is a kind of investment, not of our money, but of ourselves, our will, our intention, our passion, and our conscience. For at the end of the day, that is what voting is, a kind of investment, not of our money, but of ourselves, our will, our intention, our passion, our conscience. Of course, our investment can be a light matter to us if we cast our vote in a throwaway mood, thinking better this guy than the other guy. Then we might cut out our emotional losses when he disappoints us. Live and learn. Yet paradoxically, if it took a great effort to screw your courage to sticking the place, as Lady Macbeth put it, if that is you, you had to swallow a hard vote for a candidate and he won, you may find your investment in a very heavy and him wait may find in may find your investment in him very heavy, and your felt need to defend him equally so. So this is like the idea of having to choose between two equal evils of Biden and Trump, because they both are kind of dog shit.
Yeah.
And I actually feel like this is important, because I do think that quote of saying that it's an investment, like especially of our will, our intention, and our conscience, because realistically, when you vote for someone, you defend them.
Yeah. You're
You vote for
saying they have
Biden,
the best
you
policies for me.
exactly. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't vote, because I think having the right to vote is very important. Being able to, I guess, I don't know, in a way you could be like, oh, my vote is worth giving to anyone except Trump. I'll just vote for anyone else except for Trump because I think he's this person. Or same thing for Biden. I think he's this person, so I'm going to vote for anybody else. But then I do think that having the mindset of being neutral and not voting for anyone can leave you in a better mindset, because you don't
I
have any attachment to anyone.
I don't vote. I have not voted since I turned 18 because of that.
It's just like believing what you think is right and either deciding to vote or not to vote.
We had a pretty long conversation about this at work yesterday, that it started off good and then it turned into a couple people arguing, and then I went into the back with Charlie and talked to Charlie for a minute about it, and me and him came to the conclusion that, you know how you have to be 35 to run for president?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They should make it like a president has to be from the ages of 35 to 60, because once they hit 60 or 65, they are representing a very underrepresented mindset, and they are not representing the majority anymore, because they are aged out of the majority now, and
Mm-hmm.
those people should not be able to make decisions for us.
I agree. You see some of the people that are on the get up on
Yeah,
the
like
podium.
Mitch McConnell looks like he's days from death and he's still working.
Yeah. And you're like, what could he possibly be
Doing that's
thinking
beneficial
or
for me.
contributing? Yeah, exactly. This is actually interesting. This is what I'm going to bring up is like a little, it's definitely different, but in that class that I was talking about earlier, so pretty much what the project for it is to pick a company that's falling to digital Darwinism. Do you have an idea what digital Darwinism is?
I mean, natural selection, obviously. It's, what is it? A company that's not keeping up with like the,
Yes, it's not keeping up with the transformation
the
of
yeah,
technology.
the trends.
Yeah, so what we're looking at is cable companies, right?
Mm.
And which this is actually really interesting. So I was like, okay, well, if you look at like the demographics of people that have cable, most of those people are probably going to be a little older than us, of course, because we're more used to just like Hulu, Netflix, YouTube. We're more inclined to use the streaming services because they're easy for us to use. But
I,
cable is so known from like the older generation, and they're just probably stubborn and they don't want to switch. And
yeah,
that's like my point, where like that's most of the people that are going to be still subscribing to cable companies
are
are
the ones
going
that
to be
don't
a
know how to
little bit
use it.
exactly. They either don't want to, they don't know how to use it, or they don't want to change how they have to use something because it's difficult for them to learn.
Yeah.
And what was funny about this was that I said those exact words up. I said that the older generation probably still has cable. They probably don't want to change about what they do and how they do things. And the lady that has the masters and the bachelors, she's like, well, you got to be careful because some people in this call you might be talking about with that demographic. And I'm like, what? Are you pissed off that I said that old people have cable?
I mean, it's true. Like anyone our age between 25 and 30 that's buying a house right now, I'd say probably at least 75% are not going to be paying for cable because they're going to pay for their cable. The most common cable between people our age is probably going to be YouTube TV.
Yeah, YouTube TV, and that's yeah. I wouldn't even. That's
It's
not
I
even
wouldn't
cable.
consider it cable because it's
Yeah,
you need a smart TV for it. It's not like someone's
yeah,
coming in and hooking up a cable box and a dish.
yeah. And the same thing is like people are going to be buying smart TVs. Like
Yeah,
you're not going to put it in a TV that.
I have mine is a fucking 65-inch LG smart TV. I can go on
Mhm.
fucking the internet with it. I have every single there's an app store on my TV to go download like new at like YouTube or Netflix or Prime, whatever new streaming services I have, I can download from the app store.
Yeah,
And
and
that's the new wave.
that is the wave, and that's kind of like the idea of the project is trying to see what type of companies like that are going to fall to it eventually because of their lack of ability to transform their digital creativeness.
Yeah.
And I just honestly found that topic pretty interesting because I really don't know anyone. Not that I'm going around asking people if they still have cable. I don't know many people that have cable because Hulu's like the same thing as like YouTube TV if you get a certain subscription for it. Um, I mean, you watch a lot of movies on Netflix, on HBO Max, Apple TV. You subscribe specifically to like Marquee Network if you want to watch the Cubs, or like
Yeah.
MLB TV if you want to
See,
watch baseball.
that was the other thing is like you pay all this money for cable and then there's so many channels that are blocked behind paywalls. They're like, yeah, well,
Yeah,
you're paying 130 a month for cable. You want HBO Max? You want that channel? Yeah, that's going to be another $30 a month.
yeah. And it's like you're just realistically a lot of their money probably. Obviously, I don't know this for sure. There's no evidence.
Recurring payments
I would say that it's the people who are unaware that they could go and get a subscription
for cheaper.
for cheaper. For example, what you just said, like, oh, you want HBO? Subscribe to our on-demand service for this extra $10 a month instead of paying or on top of what you're already paying instead of just getting HBO Max on whatever service, like on the internet and subscribing to it for
Paying for a
20 bucks
Max
a month.
membership. Yeah.
Yeah, 20 bucks a
HBO
month.
Max is exactly $20 a month, whereas you're paying 130 for cable and then paying another 15 just to have an HBO Max channel.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's also crazy too because like I couldn't imagine, let's say me and you got an apartment or something. I couldn't imagine like one of the first things we would do is like let's get fucking cable.
No, it would be
I don't think
internet.
that I don't think
Internet.
that would internet, but I'm saying like I don't even think that would be on our mind to get cable. I feel
Yeah,
like cable
'cause, I
is
mean,
so far in the past.
And like between me, you, Maddie, and Neela, I'm pretty positive that we have every single streaming service. So there would be absolutely zero use for cable. We put my fucking 65-inch smart TV in the living room, and every single streaming service is on it and logged into an account.
Mm-hmm. And I got the anime. I got Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
And we have multiple Netflix accounts, multiple Hulu accounts. I don't have HBO Max.
I have Max, I have Paramount, I have Disney Plus, I have access to all of those. Even like
Yeah.
Peacock. Maddie has
Yeah.
a Peacock account, I think.
And then you think about like you add up all those prices together
Prime
and it's,
Video, that's another one.
yeah, true. And even that's free or included with just Amazon Prime in general.
Yeah.
You add up all those prices and it's probably either equivalent or less than what a
Cable
cable
subscription.
service would be charging you for. And then on top of that, you don't have to worry about like, oh shit, my cable box has to be replaced. Now they have to come out, they have to change it, and then you have to send it back. And if you don't send it back, you get charged.
Yeah.
It's just so inconvenient.
Or don't
that
even
I'm
talk about like you have direct TV and you get a fucking satellite on your roof and then a storm
yeah
comes in and knocks it down and you don't
yeah
have TV for 3 days.
yeah. It's just pay for your internet, get 1,000 up, 1,000 down, and buy some streaming services. Now they are like some of the higher powerhouse cable companies are doing like, oh, you can bundle your cable service with this
Netflix
or that.
and yeah.
Yeah. Which obviously I don't know what the comparison in price for that would be.
But that's also only going to be big names. Like you have me, I live out where in fucking buttfuck nowhere. We don't have like we have direct TV, but we don't have Comcast. We don't have Xfinity.
Yeah.
We have Mediacom. Mediacom, I don't think they're going to have a fucking bundle with subscription service. We literally got rid of cable.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they're going to say is what's Netflix? But
what's Netflix? What's
there's
that?
there's no good cable out here, and my family doesn't have cable anymore because no one was using it. It wasn't.
I feel like it's such a pain too to go.
Yeah.
What channel? I don't know.
We have YouTube TV instead.
Yeah, YouTube TV's is nice actually. I probably would maybe look into getting that too eventually.
Yeah.
But
Because anything you want to watch on cable is on YouTube TV. Like I watch fucking when we have family over for like shit like Memorial Day, we'll turn on like hockey or baseball or football games. They have every playoff game. There's no blackouts. Like the other night on, I want to say it was Saturday, we were watching the fucking Oilers Stars game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In Illinois playoff game. It's on YouTube TV, no subscription. You'd have to have fucking ESPN Plus or whatever it is to watch that if you had cable, which is another subscription.
Yeah, I'm just curious on how many people around me or that I know still have cable. It just seems like there's a lot of barriers. Yeah, that actually would be interesting. Post a poll.
On like, is there an Innate Domain Twitter account?
Yeah, there's not. There's not.
We should start doing that. Like tweets like of shit like that from the show. It's not a bad idea.
It's a good idea, actually,
especially because the monetization on X is significantly better now, and you can make
into it
just off of like say you tweet out an original tweet, not a reply, but your own tweet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's 4.4 million people see it. You're gonna make a couple $1,000 off that just from the engagement. Yeah, as long as your account's monetized or monetized.
Yeah, it's monetized. Monetization.
Yeah. Okay.
I never looked into X monetization. That's interesting. Huh.
Yeah. It's definitely worth looking into.
Yeah, I feel like I'd be more inclined to post a tweet than to post a freaking Instagram post, dude. I've been really lazy with that stuff.
Yeah. Whereas Twitter, or X, you just open it up and you post a fucking poll of a question like that, or you can post clips on there.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking just daily Stoic quotes for days that we don't record.
Yeah.
Little
I guess that's
that's
a good idea, actually. I was gonna say, I guess going back to going into something all out, like full on, if I could, it would be the podcast. Like obviously we're putting in like a good amount of effort, but if I had nothing going on, the advertisement for the podcast, the marketing for the podcast would be so much better and deeper.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to worry about all the other shit. Because it's more of like weighing my priorities when it comes to getting something done.
Yeah.
It's like, what is going to affect me in the long run compared to what do I want to do. It's like if I don't get this homework done, my grade's going to be shit. But if like I don't get the podcast done, there's not really going to be any repercussions from it.
Yeah.
So that's really my main issue. And it's, I don't know, it's tough
To do this right now, I'm not logged in.
You should throw out some of those quotes you were thinking about.
Oh, start with these two first. This one, you've probably seen it a million times because I know I've seen it a million times, but I wanted to bring it out because it is a really good quote to look at and almost words to live by. Yeah, fear has two meanings: forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. And I definitely think you want to be on the face everything and rise side of that.
I swear I screenshotted that, dude. I think I did. Hold on.
Like recently?
Was it by Zig Ziglar?
Yeah, I think so.
Sunday at 7:11 p.m.
This is the exact picture. This was the one that I found. I wrote it out so that I didn't have to copy the picture, but this is the exact picture. You need 3 daily wins: a physical win, walking, running, lifting, swimming; a mental win, reading, writing, creating, learning; and a spiritual win, praying, meditating, studying, growing. Be a complete winner. I think that's a really good one too.
No, I like that a lot because realistically, if you look at it and you have those 3 wins every day, your day was productive. And that's how I feel like I've been feeling recently is I'm doing things without a purpose, or I think I have a reason to do it, but I'm just like mindlessly doing things because I'm thinking I'm going into the direction that I believe I should.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was a Daily Stoic one that actually kind of relates to that. Hold on, let me try and find it. Oh, okay. So yeah, it was for actually yesterday. It was called "Working Hard or Hardly Working." The quote is, "I can't call a person a hard worker just because I hear they read and write, even if they're working at it all night, until I know what a person is working for. I can't deem them industrious. I can if the end they work it. What the fuck? I can if the end they work for is their own ruling principle, having it be and remain in constant harmony with nature." So it's it ends up saying, instead, evaluate what you're doing, why you're doing it, and where accomplishing it will take you. If you don't have an answer, then stop. So that's kind of like related to what you were saying too, because I'm working and doing things that I think I should be doing, but in the end, I don't really have a goal in mind
for them.
Yep. Yeah. So I think having that small mindset of getting those 3 wins every single day is important, so that you have at least a goal that you're working towards.
Yeah.
And I definitely think I need to hit the spiritual one a little bit more. I mean, I guess the Daily Stoic, in a way, you can say that's a little, it's like, I mean, it says 366 meditations on wisdom, which is kind of I mean, literally it's a meditation, but I feel like it needs to go a little bit deeper than that for me.
Yeah.
And I try to do
like
schoolwork every day.
10 minutes sitting and fucking meditating.
Yeah, exactly. And really thinking about it. I think there's one thing that I've been really wanting to do more, and it's been really irking me, is writing. Like just simply writing more. I don't know why I've been so inclined to write more. I just feel like I've been a bad writer for a long, long time, that becoming a good one is very intriguing.
Yeah.
And it's also, I've been interested in philosophy and psychology for, I would say, probably ever since we started the podcast.
Those are 2 of my favorite topics to read about. It's so interesting just learning about it.
And it just kind of like, I changed my major because like, oh, I actually have a little bit of an interest in this and it's cool. And it's like, if I was ever to change my major again, it would probably to be psychology or philosophy.
Yeah.
But then again, it's like, I don't know. I just feel like I need to just get one done. But I really like that quote because I do think everyone should push themselves in a physical, mental, and spiritual way.
Every day.
At
least once.
Mm-hmm. And then be able to write it down and converse about it, for sure.
Yeah.
I think we should go back and talk about the fear one and what your thoughts are about the two meanings of fear.
I really like that one because it's looking at it as a fight or flight situation. You have your forget everything and run, which is your flight, or face everything and rise, which would be you're fighting the fear. And I think you should always try to put yourself in the face everything and rise category of that, because it means that you're not running away from your problems when things get tough and you're facing your fears and conquering them. Because when you do that and you conquer your fears, they're not fears anymore, and that's weakness leaving the body. You're a stronger person because you conquered that fear.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's ideal to try and face everything and rise. You just always have that mindset. It's fearful. It's scary to do, and you're scared to fail, and you're scared to do something different. And you always usually become better on the other side of that fear.
Yeah.
And this also goes along with that quote that I sent you and Jack the other day, which is failure is a mile wide, but an inch deep.
Yeah.
So like failure looks like a very scary thing from the outside if you're looking at it from a very like deep perspective. But once you actually step into it, you realize that it's shallow, and it's realistically and figuratively, it's not that deep.
I have that realization every time I have to call and make myself an appointment for anything.
Mm-hmm.
I have such bad phone anxiety for some reason. I don't know why. I'm scared to like call doctors and shit.
Dude, I'm scared to call other stores for a product.
Yeah,
Because I'm like assuming they're gonna
be mad. You're inconveniencing them. So that's yeah, I think the same way. That's how I feel with like doctors, even though like I'm scared to call a doctor's office and make an appointment because I feel like I'm an inconvenience.
Mm-hmm.
And
we need to start doing a regimen every day of doing one thing that we are scared of doing.
Yeah.
Like we're scared of failing, scared of being rejected. It's just all the rejection shit, dude. It's all a big circle that leads back to that. And it really is crazy. Like, I don't know. There's so many things that I think I would become such a better person at if I wasn't scared or wasn't fearful. If I was able to face everything and rise, the difference of person that I would become is I would make myself obsolete.
Yeah. And then I have 3 more quotes. These 3 were pulled out of a list of 10 that I found on Twitter, and the guy said, these are the 10 smartest things ever said by anyone. And obviously that's not true, but I did pull the 3 that I like the most out of there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So the first one is by Shane Parrish. It's advantage in life comes from being willing to look like an idiot in the moment. 3 ways this applies. Saying you don't know versus pretending you do. So if you're pretending you do know everything, then you're not open to growing as a person, and that shows that you are an idiot instead of looking like an idiot and trying to better yourself. Doing something different than everyone else, because that shows that you're not afraid to change the status quo and step outside the box and do something that maybe not everyone would do.
Mm-hmm.
You're not afraid to be different, and you may look like an idiot in the moment, but looking like an idiot in that moment could change the world in 10 years. You never know. And then number 3 is admitting you made a mistake and correcting, which I think is one of the hardest things in the world for people to do. And I think that's, I don't know. I like this quote because I definitely think that you cannot grow and learn without failure. So you have to look like an idiot. You're always going to be bad at doing something new. And you have to understand that if you want to grow as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Like you really do have to be willing to look like an idiot. Yeah,
and that's honestly, you're making me rethink my thought process on this class now, because they asked me the one girl that was very well versed in project management and stuff was asking me like, oh, what do you think like we should do for this next project? Because I'm in charge of that next project. And I'm like, oh shit, well, I don't really know. Like I haven't really looked at it yet. And I wasn't prepared. Right. Yeah. So I was scared to answer that question because I'm like, okay, well, I don't know how to answer this. I've never been in this position before. And it makes me realize that I'm going to suck at being a project manager or being in charge of a project until I've done
Until
it,
you do it.
until I do it.
Exactly.
And I think that also that's going to help me prepare for this next meeting that I have to be able to come up with the ideas to present to my teammates and stuff.
Face everything and rise.
Yep. Face everything and rise. And I think everybody should take that and use it as much as possible, because people, realistically, that quote goes along with, there's another quote that I'm thinking of, and it's along the lines of, say what's on your mind, because the people that mind don't matter.
And the people that matter don't mind.
Yes, and the people that matter don't mind. So it's like that. If people are going to make fun of you for starting something new or looking dumb because you're new to this or new to that, they don't matter to begin with. And the people that don't mind are there to help you and bring you up and make you a better person and give you the encouragement to be able to do that thing over and over.
You surround yourself with in life.
Exactly. And that's very important. And I think hearing that is, honestly, is a little bit reassuring for sure.
Yeah.
It's just being able to utilize it.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be willing to face the fear of looking like an idiot and coming out a better person because of it.
Because I don't think I've ever started something new without thinking, holy shit, I'm going to look dumb if I mess up. Or they're going to think I'm an idiot, or they're not going to like me, or this or that. And it's always about the other person. Like, I'm always thinking, what are they going to think? How are they going to take this if I don't perform well or don't do this? And I think a lot of people don't have that mindset. It's like, they're very selfish in a way that if it directly affects them, they're going to be like, well, this guy fucking sucks. Fuck him. Instead of being like, okay, well, I've never been in this situation. Like, maybe they haven't been in this situation before, so we should cut them some slack. Like, for example, going back to the class again, there's multiple things that I have never used in terms of communicating with teammates or coworkers or tracking tasks and tracking projects and stuff that this person has used, these other people have used. And they were getting upset that people weren't answering or people weren't doing what they were supposed to do. And I'm like, well, I've never done this before. So why do these people have this mindset of like, I'm going to be very hostile and be angry or upset that these people aren't answering or following these messages or following how it's supposed to be done, when realistically they don't think on the other side that, okay, well, they haven't been in this position before, so we should cut them some slack and we should encourage them to be
constructively
better.
Criticize instead of being a dick about it.
Yeah, exactly.
The next quote I have is from Elon Musk. It is important to have a feedback loop where you're constantly thinking about what you've done and how you could be doing it better. That's the single best piece of advice. Constantly think about how you could be doing things better and questioning yourself.
I think that's really interesting. And the first thing that really comes to my mind is that I think I'm moving in too fast of a pace with the things that I do to even want to stop and look at my work that I've put out.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's not worth it. I feel like it's not worth it to stop for a second and look and be like, okay, how could I have made this better? And that's what is making me want to take things a lot slower. Like, I know I want to get stool done as fast as possible. But to me, I feel like taking things much slower and focusing on less and less over time is going to allow me to get things get things done better, and to recognize my mistakes rather than having to worry about the next thing and then the next thing and the next thing, and not having that time to be able to reflect and see my mistakes. Because I feel like I'm always on the move. I feel like I'm always trying to, what's next, instead of creating something and doing something and trying to re-implement it or make it better the next time. I don't know. It's tough. It's
like the pot story that we always fucking talk about. Perfectionism.
And I don't know, dude. It's like, I want to give something up to be able to do and put my all into one thing, or yeah, I guess one thing or a couple things that I have like a passion for.
Yeah, quit school and throw your all into being a barista.
Dude, I honestly thought about like if I'm going to be there for another 2 years, trying to just like get experience as like a ASM or a manager just to do it, just because.
I don't think it's worth it though.
Probably not.
The
Probably
difference
become
is
even more of
when
a
you're
pawn.
in that position, it's expected of you to show up when others don't, and that's a commitment that I don't think you'd want to take. Because I don't know.
Yeah.
I know I wouldn't want to take that.
I mean, I feel like I'm already showing up when people don't, dude. I have the worst shift in the freaking. I have the worst shift. I mean, it's subjective, but I have the worst shift open to 1. Not every day, of course, but I've been getting up at 4:00 in the morning for almost 3 years.
Yeah.
And I always just look at the light at the end of the tunnel, thinking about, oh, I can't wait until I can wake up at 7 every morning, 6. Like, that's a dream. It's a dream to me.
Yeah.
And, another mindset I've been thinking is like, obviously there's going to be things that change over the next 2 years, and I might have a job lined up once I get my degree, but there's also that chance that I don't.
Yeah.
So I think over the next 2 years, I want to try and create something that gives me that backbone that, okay, yeah, I'll graduate, but then I don't have to get a job with my degree. I can do something else. I can focus on other things and maybe enjoy my life a little bit more than I was, suffering doing school and being unsure with what I want to do and stuff.
Yeah. And then that kind of leads into my last quote too. It's by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. The 3 most harmful addictions are heroin, carbohydrates, and a monthly salary. And I like that one because the idea of being trapped on a salary for the rest of my life for fear of not having stability is very scary to me, because it is very easy. Like, say you start making 6,000 or 7,000 a month, usually at that point you're pretty comfortable and you don't really aim for growth anymore, because you hit that point of comfortable complacency where your bills are paid, you have a little bit of spending money on the side, so you don't need to work to have more and get better.
You really think that's enough money though for people to be like, I'm comfortable enough to not work anymore, or not work anymore, but
not work, but not
like
pursue other passions and ventures that they'd have?
Obviously we're not in that situation to be able to have like not an opinion on it, but to know what they feel like. Because I don't know, I feel like I would get bored with not doing something, or not doing more than like, or pursuing more than I already have. Now I couldn't imagine making $7,000 or $8,000 a month, because that's over 4 times what we currently make, and I don't know what I would do with that much money. So I guess we really wouldn't know until we get there.
Until you hit that point, yeah. But a lot of people hit that point and they give up on their dreams. They give up on their aspirations, their dreams, the things that they want to achieve, because they think that they've hit a peak and they don't want to lose it.
Mm-hmm. That's we said something earlier that kind of correlated with, I don't remember what it was though. It was towards the beginning.
Yeah, the whole podcast is kind of, once you hit hour 2, we're at 2 hours and 2 minutes, and it's kind of, it all mashes together.
There's actually a quote that I think is actually pretty cool, because I said I want to write more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's by Dick Gwindon. And it's, writing is nature's way of letting you know how sloppy your thinking is. And I can, like I said, I've never found myself as a very good writer. And I can definitely relate to that, because I feel like a lot of things that I write down, I use Grammarly because Arizona State gives you like a free Grammarly thing. and I'll do like a whole paragraph or whatever. And obviously like it's very to the point. Grammarly is like, where it's like, it's going to give you all like the technical stuff, but there is a lot of errors in the things that I write. And it makes
like
me think like,
syntaxes and shit. Like how
yeah,
you
yeah,
word
yeah.
things.
Or yeah, like how I word things, punctuation's wrong sometimes. I use very basic words, and that's why I think I want to become a better writer, is because it'll help me think clearer and more sophisticated,
More articulate.
and more articulate. And I think that also, I also think it stems from me always believing that I was less of an intelligent person. So if I can write in a more intelligent way, I'll be able to speak in a more intelligent way, and people won't think of me as a lesser of intelligence.
Yeah.
It's like a fear. It's definitely a fear thing. But also writing has been it's been fun to do. I just haven't set my time out every day. It's kind of like how you should set time out to read. I should set time out to write.
Yeah. Writing, I feel like, is a little harder though.
Writing is hard because you have to come up with like a prompt
and what you're writing about.
Yeah.
And
technically you could just do ChatGPT. Daily thoughts is good, but like ChatGPT, like tell me a nonfiction prompt that's 500 words that I can write about blah, 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 blah. And you could do that. But then I also heard that to become a better writer, you have to edit a lot, and not edit your stuff, edit other people's stuff. But that also makes me think, it's like, if I'm not, because I definitely didn't take English class seriously at all in high school. Yeah, just like editing people's papers and stuff, and seeing how they write.
I used to be my grandma's proofreader for fucking shit at work.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason why I have such good grammar.
Mm-hmm. And it's also me trying to fight myself that, like, yes, people are naturally good writers, but I can also one day become just as good, even though I had to work towards it. But it's definitely like a difficult road, because I've been telling myself like, oh, I want to write 500 words a day, or write something every day. And then it just kind of gets pushed to the side. So it's definitely a habit I have to begin with. Maybe I should make a calendar.
Yeah. Twice a week, right?
Every day. I would love to do it every day, dude. Every day would be cool.
Yeah, but it'd be better to start with twice a week, because then that becomes a habit, and then you start doing it more and more over.
True.
Trying to bite the bullet and doing it every day, you're going to get burnt out of it.
I also, it's funny, I was looking up some stuff about writing, and this guy said that just write like a few sentences every day, because this guy said he wrote his first book over like 7 years, but simply by just like writing every time he went to the bathroom. Writing a few sentences every time he went to the bathroom. That's a little more
reasonable than fucking writing 500 words a day. That's more where I say you're going to get burnt out, is if you're writing 500 words, that's like a 2-page paper, 3-page paper every day.
I don't think it might be maybe close to a page.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a lot. But then there also is, relating it back to reading, I heard this, his name's Naval, and it says that his way of reading is, when he was younger, he would read books cover to cover, literally every single word, but he ended up getting burnt out from reading. So what he learned, because everyone is kind of like, oh, I finished this book, I finished this book, finish this book. They're so obsessed with finishing something that if you read, like, you start a book, you're like, okay, I need to finish this. But then like halfway you get kind of bored and you're like, I don't really want to read this. So you switch to a different book. You never end up finishing it. Yeah. But his way of reading is to, if in a book you get kind of bored, or there's like a specific section you want to read, just skip to that specific section and kind of read it as like a blog post. So read like a short section until it interests you, and then just close the book and maybe find a different one that interests you now or interests you at this time or whatever. And then you're able to enjoy reading more because you're not so worried about, oh, I have to finish this book. That's exactly what I did for the outlive part, is I've been wanting to get to the section about exercise.
So you just went.
So I'm like, it's 240 pages in. Like, it's going to take me a while because I've been trying to read every day, but like it's been tough to try to get 20 pages in every day.
Yeah.
So I might as well just skip to it and get to the point where I want to be, rather than wait the months and months and months till I actually get there.
It's funny that you say that, because when I was in like junior high, I used to go into the library, and if I didn't know what book I wanted to read, I'd just pick up random books and flip to a random page and see if that page looked interesting, and that's how I would decide if I would read it or not.
Huh. Yeah, I probably am a bad reader and a bad writer because I would always go to just Captain Underpants.
Those are classics, though. Captain
Yeah.
Underpants. I mean, I read a lot of shit that was outside of my age range as a kid. But at the same time, I also like Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Greatest
Yeah.
kids book series of all time. Fucking
Yeah.
Captain Underpants, great. I still read all of those.
Yeah. But you read on top of that all
Yeah.
the other stuff. And I just like, I don't know, dude. I don't know if it wasn't, I just wasn't inclined to read for some reason. And I can't necessarily knock myself. Obviously it didn't set me up for failure. It put me a little back, but it is what it is. I was fucking junior high. And I mean, high school, I could have read a little bit more too, but I actually was talking about, I think the only 2 books that I finished from like, obviously I don't know exactly, but from, let's just say, first grade to senior year of high school there is one book about this guy donating, this guy getting a heart from somebody else or giving a heart to someone, and then his friend going and searching for that person that gave him the heart. I think it was like Searching for David's Heart or something like that.
Yeah.
And Looking for Alaska. Those are the only 2 books I've ever finished in my life. Or not in my life, but throughout like a lot of my general education.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever read Looking for Alaska, but that book was good. I think it's by John Green.
I haven't read it, but I know what it is. I just had to look it up.
It was a good book, and I mean, it had to be a good enough book for me to actually read it back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's reading something I want to do more. Writing. I feel like
Arithmetic.
I'm a broken record.
You gonna do some arithmetic too? The 3 R's.
Yeah.
Read and write and arithmetic.
1 + 1.
3.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm through my quotes, so I'm kind of out of topics. Yeah. 2 hours and 10 minutes. Pretty hungry. Gotta pee pretty bad. Is there any final thoughts from Sir Nicholas? I'm also very irritated because something's wrong with the connection for my headset. So like every 15 or so minutes, I've had about a minute and a half of my headphones going do 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 do, and I have to just read your lips and assume what you say because I can't hear you for like a good 30 seconds. Usually I've grasped the basis, but there was a couple times where like I had no sound for like a minute while you were talking, and I only heard the back half of the sentence, and I'm like, well, fuck, I don't want to ask him to repeat himself.
That's fine, as long as it was recording.
Yeah,
I think we're good. I think we're good for this week. Wrapping up episode 17.
Yes,
17.
Hasta la vista, mi amigos.
Guten Tag, guten Abend, guten Nacht.
Guten Nacht. Guten Tag, guten Nacht.
We'll see you next week. We should fucking try and get a guest on here, dude.
Yeah.
You need to try and get somebody on here. I've been actually thinking like, because you know how I brought up that Tim Ferriss guy and he just does it all online?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I would love to do it in person, but I feel like online just makes so much more sense.
It's so much easier, especially with guests.
Yeah. But like, I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll get someone on here soon. I honestly haven't really asked anybody. But
let's bring Jack on for another episode.
Well, yeah, he said in July once he graduates school.
Yeah.
And then we can bring Jack on again.
Yeah.
Alrighty, everybody. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, night, morning.
Stay safe.
We will see you in the next one. Later. Stop.